Here's Vandersloot. Met by Wilson. Stewart has the switch on Gray. Fading and hitting. Ionescu. She got it. The New York Liberty have their first finals win since 1999. We will see a Game 4 Wednesday night at Barclays Center.
This is Rafi Guzon, and you are tuned in to Nothing But That Sports Talk.
Liberty coming high in the WNBA Finals. Welcome to this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm Rafi Guzon alongside a very special guest of mine. And I've had Sierra Monroe from MTMV Sports earlier in the year before the season started. Now I'm about to have another beautiful young up-and-coming talent from MTMV Sports join the show. Let everybody know who you are and what you do. This pretty girl of sports.
Yeah, so my name is Des, or you can call me Pretty Girl Des. I am the founder, CEO, face creator, all of those things for Pretty Girls Love Sports. I'm also a multimedia journalist with MTMV Sports Network.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, let's talk a little before we get into MTMV Sports. Let's talk about like how your journalism's career got started.
Okay, well, I didn't come into journalism as like most people have a bachelor's degree and they come in and they do that traditional way. Me, I'm very untraditional and I'm kind of like a late bloomer, some would say. I actually am a retired Army veteran, so I did 5 years active duty. And once I got my medical retirement, I was like, well, what am I going to do with myself? Like, I love to serve and help people. And I was like, what am I going to do? So I started a business called Desville LLC, which is basically like the parent company for a few other things that I have going on. And I was like, you know what? I need to do something that I'm passionate about, something that I care about. So I think it was sometime in 2021, I was like, okay, let's just figure out what we're going to do. And that's how Pretty Girls Love Sports became born. But I didn't quite start it for real, because I had to get a motivation. I didn't really believe, I didn't believe myself, but I wasn't super confident that I could be and fit into the space. So in the beginning of the year, 2023, I was like, okay, listen, you gotta figure something out because you don't like working for people. you love sports and you might as well just do it. Everybody kept asking me, well, what's going on with Pretty Girls Love Sports? Pretty Girls Love Sports. Everybody loves Pretty Girls Love Sports. And they're like, just do something. So I started it. I took a leap of faith and I started doing what I do now, which is Locker Talk and Pretty Playbook, getting on and talking. I also educate women about sports. I also make merchandise and apparel. And I started doing writing. I started going to seminars to figure out how can I be my best self. And that's how I got myself into MTMV Sports, which we'll touch on a little bit later.
Exactly. And while doing all those little nuggets that you just mentioned, like how do you manage to balance that out on with your passion?
Yeah, so my passion is sports. I mean, my other passion is dance. So I'm a professional cheerleader. Currently, I'm professional cheerleader for the ECHL. I was NHL and a few other leagues, but I have managed to balance it by like not sleeping. So, joking. Sometimes I don't sleep, but I really just I have a calendar both like in my phone and paper, and I just write down everything that I want to do. And I just kind of make sure that when I go into a position, I actually had a really good job. I was a caregiver. So with that, I got to kind of make my schedule a little bit on my own. So I was able to schedule like when I had clients and then when I could go and do my sports thing. But like sports to me is 24/7. So I'm always doing sports. I eat, live, breathe, sleep sports. So for me to get all into it, I definitely have to give a lot of myself in order to even make it work, because again, I'm a baby in the industry, but I've been doing some really great things. And I just feel like in order for me to take the sports industry by storm, I have to give it all that I have, every open second that I have.
You sure you baby? Because I've seen a lot of great college football standout some content. So yeah, you seem like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, that comes, I try, like, I comes from like studying. So when I first came in, like football, I eat, breathe, sleep. I love football. I grew up on football. My grandmother introduced me to that when I was like 10 years old. So we're now in the game. I'm not gonna tell you how old I am, but we're in the game. We have been in the game for a very long time. But I didn't know everything about football. So any new sport that I come into, I always have to learn. So I really, people mistake the fact that like, oh, she knows what she's talking about, or that commentator may know what they're talking about. But these people that you see that do this, we study. And I have to literally study for me to really know what I'm talking about. Because if I can get up here and just say whatever I want to say, I mean, I could very much do that. But then you're like, you're not a credible source, or you're not doing it correctly. So for me, if I don't know something, I'm going to study it. And that's what I try to be a mentor and try to teach other women and other people in general. Like when they come into my DM saying, oh, I want to know about this, or how do I do this? It's like, okay, if I don't know, I'm going to figure it out, which is what a teacher is. Like, I'm learning for you so you don't have to know, so then I can then teach you what I know. So studying is top one. Like, that's how I know what I know.
Exactly. You got to study the teams that you're watching year after year after year in order to get to this point.
Yeah.
It's this point, especially covering college football. And obviously you know a little things about the NFL. And what's your favorite team in the NFL?
Yeah, so I know we have it. So we can't see my chair, but I know we have it behind me. I grew up a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so I am Still Nation, Steelers gang. It ain't changing. It's not changing. Okay, my grandma put me on what I said. Like I said, when I was 10 years old, so I got to grow up seeing Ben Roethlisberger being our QB1 and seeing his history and going through, the Troy Polamalu and understanding like all things Pittsburgh. I'm a Jersey girl, but I'm a Pittsburgh girl too. You would think I'm from there the way I rep the set, right? So I grew up learning Pittsburgh football. So Pittsburgh was known for they're always been known for defense. So I learned becoming a defensive girly, and that's how I was able to learn defensive football. And then me being a hockey cheerleader, I transitioned into loving hockey. I love hockey. And people are like, you love hockey? I love all things hockey. So again, I had to study hockey a little bit for me to know, like, I can talk. We could talk some things. I've had to go toe to toe with a couple people in my comments before they think I didn't know what I was talking about. But studying hockey, then getting into college football and college basketball. I got into the women's college basketball. I covered them during the March Madness. I followed them the entire month of March and into a little bit of April. So I'm well versed over here. At least I try to be.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, you covered some iconic stuff that happened in this past year. And you mentioned your Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and we'll get into discussion about the Pittsburgh Steelers and NFL picks and college football. We'll talk as well, since you're well in touch with Clemson football. But all that, with everything that you just said, all that knowledge, just to summarize, led to you getting a gig at MTMV Sports. Like, let's talk about the overall experience of working for them and contributing your knowledge to MTMV Sports platform that's known to drive independent Black journalists.
Yeah, so I really give our head honcho so much love and so much credit, because he saw something in me and believed in me. And not a lot of people would do that, especially coming into the game as like a baby and fresh. But I told him like what I want to do, what my vision was, and he was like, I love it. I feel like you can really take it by storm. Like you're going to be great. Like he motivates me. And this is Mr. Ernest Ricks, or Dr. Spaff, or Sincere. He has so many. Rick Sincere. He has so many different names, but he really has become like one of my main mentors, and I don't even think he knows it, but because he breathes and speaks so much into me. And how I got onto the team, we went to the Black Sports Business Symposium. I think I'm saying it right. Black Sports Biz Symposium.
Yeah,
hosted by ESPN.
That ESPN event that happened all the way down
in Atlanta.
Stadium.
Yeah. So I happened to be there by myself, because I was like, girl, you need to figure out, you need to get around people who look like you, people who are in sports, and figure out how you can make it work.
You're going to an ESPN event. You're going to be meeting people that work at ESPN that knows they can put sports knowledge in your brain.
That too. So I was like, okay, we got to go. I had something else that weekend. I was like, we're not doing that. We're going to the symposium. So, and especially because it's an invite only. So you put in your application and you have to get accepted and then get invited. It's not just you just show up or you just buy a ticket. You have to be invited. So I was like, oh, I'm definitely going. I was invited. I'm going. So during that process, I actually met Mr. Will Smith, who's also a part of MTMV, and we were in a session together. And I think I made like a joke, because one thing for sure, two things for certain, I'm always going to make a joke. I'm always going to laugh. Like, that's just who I am. And we made a joke, and he was sitting next to me, and we started like talking. We started chatting. He was like, well, where are you from? But we exchanged information. And he was like, I think it'd be good if you talk to, he said, my boss. And I was like, okay. And he was like, I'm with MTMV Sports. And I was like, okay. So I followed him around for a couple sessions, and I finally met Rick. And we talked, and he told me, how faith-based network going into sports, how we have, they build and motivate their platform and all the gist and all the good stuff. And I was like, I love this. Like, I feel like I can have a place here, right? So he was kind of like, I'll talk to you more. I'll send you more information if you want to join the team. And I was like, I do. I literally said this. So he's like, if you want to join the team, I was like, I do. I want to join. You can consider me joining now. And he was like, okay. Like, I don't know if I was supposed to do other steps. I don't know if I was supposed to do like an interview. I don't know what I was supposed to do, but I basically just told him, I want to be a part of this organization, and I love what you have going on. And I feel like this could be something good for me. And that's how I got here. And since I got to MTMV Sports, from there, I've done so many different things I've never could have imagined. Me being a junior journalist, from SWAC Media Day to having almost like season credentials along with Clemson football, going to Georgia Tech, doing the Orange Blossom Classic, and so many other things I've done so far, getting credentials in so many different places, and being able to be a beat reporter and a journalist at the same time. Like, I've gotten nothing but opportunities. I'm super blessed.
And that's exactly what it's all about. I mean, take it from a guy who got credentialed for a lot of events this year. You've been putting in some serious work for them. Judging by the podcast episodes I've seen you do. And yeah. Moreau, she you managed to work at the same media outlet with her. I mean, from what you saw from Sierra Moreau, like what do you enjoy about watching her kill it in the MTMV sports landscape, and what is the constructive criticism you're giving her right now as you're speaking to me?
Yeah, well, for me, I love, in general, we have so many different unique personalities and unique shows and writing styles on our team, which makes us so diverse and it's unique. I love that she is really deep involved into the WNBA, and she's motivated me to get more into the WNBA. Like, I was writing it, I would talk about it, I always got to do it for the girls. But now I'm like, okay, let's try to get credentials to some of these events. Let's try to, I texted like not too long ago, like, hey, I need help, like getting credentials to like the finals and the draft and all these things, because a big part of what I do is women in sports, right? So it's like women helping out women within our own organization, and we're then taking it out of our organization to help more women. So I love how she's involved with that. And she also does Brown University. So that's cool too, like stepping into college. We all are trying to get our feet into different doors and go into different directions. And I think that's probably the biggest and the best thing for all of us. It's like, never stop going, never stop trying. We call it shooting our shot. Like, we shoot our shot at everything that we could possibly dream of. So like, I've been shooting my shot to get into the NFL arena or stadium for probably since before preseason even started, but I haven't gotten it yet. But I have faith that I will get it, because it's going to happen, because they're going to be like, okay, she's doing great. But I'm about to step into like NBA G League. So she also helped me do that too. I'm like, okay, well, she's motivated me, and she probably doesn't even know that. So she sees this episode, say you motivated me, girl. Motivated me to like, okay, what's basketball in my area? How can I get into basketball? Because the NBA is a little finicky, so they might not let me in. So how can I get in? And I shot my shot for the G League, and now I have season credentials for the College Park Skyhawks for the entire season. So like,
wow,
we're just doing amazing things over here.
It all comes with networking and consistency. You got to be consistent. I mean, most people know my story about how I started when I covered WNBA. Everything was done through Zoom in 2020. Fast forward, I got credentialed for the draft. I got credentialed for the Game 3 of the WNBA Finals earlier this week, which I'll transition to in a few seconds. And that all came with a lot of consistency and hard work into building this platform and interviewing like minds like yourself that talk about the WNBA in college basketball, in college football.
Yeah, it does take a lot of work, and I want to commend you too, because I watch your stuff and on your platform. Like, I'm like, wow, he's at the draft. I need to be at the draft. wow, he's actually like asking these questions and really talking to people and really just like, you know, being upfront. And I like when I see journalists and media, I call us medialist because we're more than just journalists, all of us. But when I see, I'm like, okay, he's doing something that I want to do. So like, how do I do that?
You
Or
want
like,
to
how do I watch him to be able to do that?
All you have to do is reach out. I mean, where are you based in right now?
Right now, I'm in South Carolina, so I'm close to Clemson and Atlanta. But I've traveled and I will travel. So like a lot of people don't know this, but you will know now. I put in credentials for Colorado University, so to go to the Buffs. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get there.
You know what I'm saying? This Colorado University, they choked to Stanford.
They did, and I'm hoping that when I get there for their homecoming game that they show something totally different. They were doing so good. So I need them to pull one out for me when I get there.
But before we get to college football, I promise you we're going to get to talking about the Liberty and Aces. As I mentioned, I got credentialed and got to get some content to cover the WNBA finals at the Ball of Brooklyn. The first Brooklyn professional sports team since the Brooklyn Dodgers in the mid-1900s to have a championship game or series. New York Liberty win Game 3 of the WNBA finals to slice what was a 2-0 deficit down to 2-1. And and I'm so hyped about that. Although Murphy Gray, Kia Stokes, I'm sorry that you're not going to be able to play Game 4. I wish you a very speedy recovery. We don't want to wish injury on any player within the league, even if it gives us the easiest advantage to win. I'd rather we get a butt whoop when you're healthy than if we do win, it's only because you got healthy. You're not that healthy. But besides the points, what are your overall thoughts on Liberty pulling out a Game 3 win over the Aces?
Yeah, so I've made some content. I've been keeping up, right? So again, I'm a Jersey girl, and all of our professional sports teams are New York teams. So unfortunately, I'm not a New York football fan, but I am.
You got
a New York basketball fan.
For them, you can cover them.
The Devils it's hockey, so I love they're my home squad, even though I'm a Kraken fan now. Okay. We're not gonna talk about that right now. We're talking about the Aces and the Liberty. So I've been rooting for the Liberty since the very beginning. Like it's so funny because C was covering Connecticut, I'm covering New York. Like this we're just like Eastern girls, right? So I've been rooting for the Liberty, and I just feel like I was like they have to win Game 3. They have to. If they don't win Game 3, then it's over, right? But they have to win because that's going to let them know that and let everybody else know that they are still in it. They're so in it. They can still fight for it. They can do this. And it's the same thing when watching the NBA finals. Game 3 is like, it's going to show you, it's either your team has woken up or your team is falling flat. So Game 3 is always like a must win for whatever team it is or whatever underdog. So for me, I was super excited. Then I seen Lil Kim doing halftime. I seen Ellie breaking it down. Like I'm just so excited. And honestly, it gave like a good breath of fresh air. Like there's super duper hope. Like New York is going to turn around. Like New York has the ability. They have beaten the Aces. So they need to continue to beat the Aces. So that way they can bring their first championship back to New York. Like we just need our championship. I mean, we got our MVP, Brianna. I just feel like I'm so excited, and I just really hope that the Liberty can really, really focus up and pull one out, especially Game 4 is tomorrow. So we need them to, pull it out for us.
Exactly. And let me just say, my experience of covering my first WNBA Finals game was nothing but amazing. I mean, the fact that being able to interview in the pregame press conferences and any interview I couldn't get in the postgame press conference, I got to interview some of the players during the media scrums. That's where all the reporters are closed into the athletes asking questions. That was a great experience. I got to do video shots. They have me sitting like the 200 sessions. I got to do video shots there. But luckily, my camera the camera and the lens I've had was able to make it work, so I can get the close shots I need from above the rear. And I got my first write up on the WNBA Finals Game 3. Don't forget to check it out on my website, nothingbutThatSportsTalk.com. If you haven't seen it, I'm gonna share it with you when we get off the air. But besides the point, the overall experience of being able to connect and talk to all those professionals that cover the WNBA, even those that have not interacted with after being Zooms for so long, was just amazing. And it will continue to be amazing when I take Game 4 of the finals tomorrow. So be on the lookout for content.
For sure. I should have applied myself. I'm like, let me take a flight to New York.
Don't do that. You can do that. You can get credentialed for college football. You can get credentialed for a WNBA finals game. I promise you that.
Yeah, I mean, so I did get I applied and got credentials for when they were playing the Mystic. I was sick that day that I was supposed to get on the flight to go to New York to watch them play.
Did you at least reach out to them that you couldn't make it?
I did, and I still told him, I was like, I'm still gonna write my article, and I still attended the post-game conference, and that's how I was able to get clips and more information. So it's like, although I couldn't be there, I still wanted to make sure that I was showing them I'm gonna put in the work to still support, because that's what I wanted to do. And I've been New York down. Okay, I've been New York down, and I need New York just to pull it out. They can do it. I know they can do it.
Yeah, and to continue the conversation, what do you think the New York Liberty have to do to build off of Game 3's victory? I'm talking about building off the block shots that was on Asia Wilson when the Liberty were playing team defense, and the 11 assists that Sabrina Nescu had, even the top the 9 points that she scored.
Yeah, so from what I've learned from watching the Liberty and what I've learned from watching the Aces, obviously, you have the defensive player of the year over there. So defense is on lock over there. They got it. They have a system that really, really works. But as you've seen in Game 3, the Liberty they started to figure it out. Like, okay, this is what we have to do. So I really feel like if they continue to do what they have done, maybe amp it up just a little bit more from Game 3 moving into Game 4, then they will not have these issues. Maybe they were trying to figure it out the first 2 games, and that's okay, because even though you're down 2 games, it's still time to get it together. So if they take that momentum that they have already built and created and move it into Game 4, and now of course they're out of one of their star players. And again, we don't want or wish injury on anybody, but this is an opportunity to take advantage of your court. I think it's going to be really, really, really important for Jonquel Jones and Sabrina to really step up and do their part as leaders on that team, as well as Lainey. I feel like she is amazing. She comes in when she's supposed to, and she does what needs to be done. And I feel like if they all just continue that cohesiveness that they've had throughout the entire season, getting them into the playoffs and now into the finals, they can be the team. They've been one that they have been. Obviously, the Aces have been number 1, so they have been number 2, but really they've been a number 1 team the entire season. They can do it. They just have to figure out and keep the momentum from what they already have from Game 3, and minimize the mistakes, minimize the fouls and penalties, and minimize I'm not saying they're distracted, because they're not distracted. They're super focused. But like anything that you're not thinking about, or anything that you are thinking about that's not basketball, leave it in the locker room, because when you hit the court, they're coming for blood. So it's really going to just be like blood, sweat, and tears. So
exactly. And after talking to all the players during the post-game press conference, they were determined to get this victory. Even Asia Wilson, after talking to her, like when discussing the half-court shot, I asked her about how to motivate her. She said it's one of those moments that you prepare for when trying to finish it off. And Elena Acosta, she talked about how when she never experienced playing a national championship, and the opportunity to get a WNBA ring means a lot for her. And that's just some of what I was told at the press conference the other day.
Yeah, they're both teams are super determined. Both teams don't like to lose. So, I mean, obviously winning is everything, but both these teams do not like to lose. So I think the Liberty, they were like, yeah, we not about to come in here and lose at home. Yeah, that's not happening. And now the Aces have something on they have a chip on their shoulder because they did take an L. So Game 4 is going to be really intense. It's going to be one for the books. It's going to be a great game.
Yes, it is. Now let's get to some college football talk. talk, like you had a chance to cover Clemson football.
Yeah.
What is your like state of the Clemson Tigers?
Yeah. So I think Clemson has a lot of opportunity for growth. They have a very, very young team. They do not have a lot of seniors on their team. A lot of them are still, growing within and being developed. So that's why I think that they have a lot of room to grow. Super talented team. Their defense is definitely one of one. They are super duper good. And the more growth they get on that defense and the more cohesiveness they get, they're going to be even better. And I really think that Clemson is going to be a more defensive threat coming here in the near future, just from being able to watch them in person and then sitting in press conferences with head coach Sweeney and listening to like how he's trying to develop them on the defensive side. Offense, they are great. They do have, Bo Collins still over there. They have a lot of different elements and a lot of different people that they could use to make plays. But as we know, defense kind of wins you the game, or defense wins championships. And I think that Clemson is really trying to get back to that. So I think that maybe it won't, in my opinion, it will not be this year, but I do think that they'll get a lot further next year. They have more time together as a team.
That's a pretty interesting point. And as I look at their schedule right now, I mean, they've won 4 of the last 5 games. The only loss coming in overtime against Florida State Sentinels. I mean, yeah, that you expect to lose because they're going up against a ranked team. So when you look back at the wins they've done so far, what do you think that they did to win those games that they couldn't do in the 2 losses they did have against Florida State and Duke?
Yeah, so I feel like obviously Florida State and Duke, they are conference games, so that they are the hardest plays, right? They played a couple teams that were not in conference and maybe weren't as good as them, so naturally they should be beating them. But things that they do well, again, is on the defensive end. They have a good defense that is stacked. Those young men are hungry and they want to do what needs to be done to win. The quarterback situation, I think Klubnik is very good. I think that he has a lot of potential to really become, this big face in terms of being a QB. But I really feel like where they lost in terms of Florida State, because I was there in the flesh and I got to watch it. I think it's just the minor and even reflecting off of what head coach Dabo Sweeney was saying, turnovers and penalty points or penalty yards is very much a killer on that team. So they have to stop getting the penalties. They have to stop doing the turnovers, and they will stop defeating themselves in a way, because they were up just about the entire game against Florida State. And that's a team that they have at that moment have beaten 7 times. So they were looking to beat them for the 8th time. And unfortunately, Florida State just was a little bit more consistent when it came to playing full out, playing a full 4 quarters, making sure you don't give up, not getting a whole lot of penalties and giving up a lot of yardage on their end. And in my report, I think Florida State was held to maybe 22 rushing yards. So like they didn't do a lot of rushing, right? So the defense was there. The defense was doing what needs to be done. But again, it's the consistency. You have to play through the entire time. So if you go into overtime, you need to be playing like it's the 4th quarter, like you want to win. And I think that's kind of where they fell off at. Like they kind of just like let off the gas a little bit. And same thing with Duke. You can't take your foot off the gas, especially when you're playing these ranked teams, and they're all out for blood. They all want to win the ACC championship. They all want to get to the national championship, and you just can't let your foot off the gas.
Yeah, and this guy, like Chad Klubnik, has pretty interesting stats. I mean, he has 11 touchdowns with 7 of them coming on the passing offense, and he has a total of like a little over 1,300 yards. Mm-hmm. This kid, judging by his statistics, this kid is something special. Though he has a lot of room for growth, based on everything you just mentioned, he's put up some serious stats. He's no Heisman winner. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, he has a lot of room for growth. Yeah, he has 2 seasons.
At this point, I don't think he's worried about the Heisman. I think he's worried about getting somewhere in the ACC first. Yeah, he is a talented kid, and seeing them week in and week out, being there at the for almost the whole month of September is really like, okay, you got to see their growth, like where he started and how he continued to develop as he went along. Excuse me. So that's why I'm saying, like, it may not be this year, but next year you're definitely going to see a different Clemson football team than you've seen this year. I think they're going to try to revert back to the old Clemson, that power football, defensive play, and having a strong quarterback at the center of that is very, very important. And they have it. I think they have it. He needs a little bit more development, but imagine when he does, he's going to be really good.
Yeah, and let's see how much he develops. As you look at the upcoming schedule, you got road games against the Miami Hurricanes and the North Carolina State Wolfpack, and then you got a 3-game homestand. 2 of them are against ranked opponents: number 15 Notre Dame on November 4th, and then November 18th they're facing North Carolina. So we look at the rest of the schedule. I mean, how you see this panning out?
I mean, Notre Dame is playing lights out. It don't matter. They playing lights out. That's going to be a very hard game for them to win. I will say Clemson has a big following, and their home games are electrifying. Like when they played Florida State, and it was like a 12 in the afternoon game, the fans still were there. They were roaring. They were cheering. They were super excited. Like they let them know that they are supporting of their team. So it's going to be a hard game for Notre Dame to come in and just think they're going to just take over. But they are one of the best teams right now in the college football. So I think that's going to be a game that they have to really grunt out. It's going to be that time again, those minor mistakes where they say it comes down to 1 or 2 plays. That's what it's going to be. That one play where you shouldn't have dropped the ball. That one play where you maybe could have gotten 5 more additional yards. That one play where it's like, oh, we had an interception and we turned the ball over. It's going to come down to that 1 or 2 play. Same thing with North Carolina and any of the games that they have coming up. They have some high contenders, and a lot of these teams are also still developing as they go throughout the season. So in order for Clemson to really like put their claws into this ACC turf, they're going to have to be consistent and make sure that they're capitalizing off those plays and stopping penalties and stopping just minor mistakes. They're going to have to really play lights out for 4 quarters.
Exactly. And if you don't execute well in the 4th quarter, you're probably not going to get that far. I mean, that did help them in the win against Wake Forest last week. But hopefully, and they're 2-2 in conference play, 4-2 overall. Hopefully, they can build off of that based on everything you just mentioned and more.
Yeah, I feel like if they just continue to be, like I said, consistent, then they have opportunity.
Yes, I do. Yes, they do. And I promise you, we're going to get to talk about the Colorado Buffaloes as they start off very promising. It's even surpassed the win total of 2 victories they've had all last year. But what you expect when being coached by a guy who coached at HBCU, his team in Jackson State, all the way to its first bowl victory. Now he carries that to Colorado Buffaloes, a team that was not good last year. They win 3 games. They got smoked in Oregon, and they choked to Stanford. What happened?
Yeah, so I hate when people say, "Oh, they lost to Oregon." Duh, they were going to lose to Oregon. Everybody knows they were a 21-point favorite. They were going to if they were to win against Oregon, it would have been like a complete college football upset. Like, and I'm not saying they couldn't do it.
They've had upsets this year, so stop it.
They have. No. I'm not saying they couldn't do it. But the caliber that Oregon has right now, I watched Oregon play Washington. And both those teams right now are playing like I said, lights out, right? So going into that, this team is still very much developing. Coach Prime did not go in saying, "Oh, my team's gonna be undefeated this year. We're gonna beat everybody. We're gonna be He didn't say those things, but he did say that the team was definitely gonna be better, and they are. They are way better. Like the team won 1 game. They've already surpassed that. They're already successful, right? I do think that the miscommunication, or I don't really know what happened watching the Stanford game. It's just like they were up, and I don't know if they just let their foot off the gas thinking they were going to stay, like Stanford was not going to want to play anymore. Like they were done. They were defeated. But again, this is like playing 4 quarters of football. you can't let your foot off the gas. And it was very uncharacteristic for them because they are known to be coming back after halftime. They're known to me as like a third or fourth quarter team. So like the same thing when they were playing USC, third or fourth quarter, they turned up and they came from behind. So it was like, you cannot let your foot off the gas when you get into the third or fourth quarter and you're up. No, you still need to be playing like as if you were behind. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like they either they got into their own head and it was like, we're gonna win, or I don't know.
They lost 3 of the last 4 games. I'm starting off 3-0 with incredible double overtime 50 over Colorado State. You were up. I know you were up around like 2:00 in the morning to watch stats. Earlier, a month later, they suffered over again. They blew a 21-point lead to Stanford. How did that even happen? Even with Saunders having 400 yards and yards passing and 37 yards rushing, Hunter having like 140 reception yards. How does that even happen? Especially you're about to go up against UCLA, the 25th ranked team in the country, on the road. Do you think that Colorado can step the game up?
I think I believe. Okay, I'm a believer over here. I'm a believer. I believe in the program. I believe in the progress. I also know that you may not build a championship caliber team in the first year. You have to get things figured out. I do think that they need to figure out how can they stop the offensive penalties. They had a lot of penalties, and I think that also just stunts their progression. Defense, you have to, like I said, don't let your foot off the gas. As soon as you let your foot off the gas, especially on defense, that's when the other team's offense comes and blows right through you, right? So going back to that USC game when they came from behind, and even again when they were playing Colorado, they came from behind. So you have to literally play lights out, play all 4 quarters. It's going to be tough. You're going to be tired. And at the end of the day, if both parts of the ball are playing complementary football, you will have a much better success rate. I feel like at some point Shedeur was not as accurate as he could have been. He didn't seem like he was taking the lead of the team for offense, and I felt that was just doing too much quick turnover time. So it's like, if you are turning over the ball way too quickly, your defense is not going to be exhausted, and they're going to let their foot off the gas because they're tired. And now they're tired. Now this other team is able to come up and now come back out of nowhere and get 21 points and put them on the board. So it has to be literally complementary. Shedeur has to be able to take the lead of this team, especially for offense, and he has to be able to get it going. If you need to rush, you need to rush. Time control and time management on offense is very important. Everybody knows that. And again, he's still young. He's still developing. I do think that maybe he needs to spend a little bit more time, maybe becoming a little bit more mobile and avoiding sacks. And like a lot of plays, like when he did get sacked, they're losing a lot of yards because you're on the 10 and now you're back at the 20. What you doing? But we know he can play. We know he can throw. We know he is a phenomenal player. It just has to translate when it comes to third and fourth quarter and leading the offense.
Exactly. And the only player that can lead the offense is Sanders, who's like literally 80 yards away from getting to the 2,500 yards mark in the passing offense. And Dalen Edwards needs to step this game up on the rushing offense. That's the only way that Colorado Buffaloes is going to turn the season around after losing 3 of the last 4. And on top of everything you just mentioned.
Yeah, I definitely think it is obviously, football is a team sport, so it is a team effort. And I feel like if everybody does their part and steps up, that means catching passes. That means creating blocks to be able to have your running backs run through, and making sure that when your O-line is protecting your quarterback, because he needs time in the pocket. Like, he needs a little bit more time in the pocket to find his person. So if everybody is doing their part, they can definitely turn it around. Whatever they did at the beginning of the season and how they, beat TCU. And again, their defense was struggling against TCU. So the defense definitely changed and turned it up a little bit. But whatever that offense was doing against TCU, they need to bring that back and have that same type of fire and passion and just skill on offense to be able to really turn their season around and to turn it around quickly, because they're going to need some help going into UCLA. I'm not going to lie. I believe in the effort. I believe in the program. I'm still going to be a supporter, but if they want to win any more games for the rest of the season, they have to turn it around quick.
Yeah, for what I've heard, UCLA is not going to be an easy place to win a football game.
At all. It's not.
What to expect is playing the Pac-12. Yeah, the Pac-12. And enjoy the Pac-12 while it lasts, because they're about to break up the conference in a few years.
They are. They're all like disseminating. The Pac-12 is rest in peace. I don't know what they're going to do. Better scoop some D2 teams up or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. Well, now, you mentioned you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers are on bye week this week coming up, and they managed to pick up a big win against the Baltimore Ravens the last time out. And this week coming up, they got a road game against Los Angeles Rams. What is your outlook going into week 7 between the Steelers and the Rams?
Yeah,
And do you see winning the game to start off your win-loss predictions for the rest of the season?
Pittsburgh has really been taking all of us through the ringer, okay? Games that they have lost, I'm shocked. Like, what? So do I think that they could beat the Rams? Yes, they can. Do I know that they can beat the Rams? Yes, they can. But will they beat the Rams? I'm unsure. Because of how we play. They're very inconsistent when it comes to offense. I feel like our defense has always been one of the top caliber defenses. We have multiple people on our defense that are we have a defensive player of the year on our defense. So the defense has always been something that Pittsburgh has been good at, right? But now it's like figuring out the offense. And a lot of it is like, okay, well, what is Matt Canada doing? Is he going to help us out? We're not playing college football. We're playing professional football, and we need to step it up. We need to create more running plays for Najee Harris and what other running backs we have on our team. We need to be able to have more throwing plays, so that way Kenny can connect with George Pickens. It's like they have a special relationship, and he is a dog, right? But we don't get to see him enough. So it's like we need to be able to use our team, and I say our team because I'm on the field. I feel like they need to be able to use their players effectively and efficiently and what they are good at. And I feel like we've seen a little bit of it, and then they retracted. They would see a little bit of it, and they retracted. So it's frustrating because the team has talent. They have the ability to do and to win. They just have to do it. Like the way they played against the Raiders, I was so proud. Right? I was so proud. And I thought we was going to continue that momentum. And
then you got smoked by Houston, Texas. Who give credit where credit's due to Houston, Texas. They developed a lot this year.
They had in such a short period of time. They are exhibit in doing it.
The future of that team.
Yeah, but we should have lost still. I don't care what nobody say. We still should have lost, which is why it's frustrating, because it's like, did they go there and forget how to play football, or like what's going on? Because this is not the same Steelers team that we had saw the week prior. I didn't understand. So, but I'm gonna stick beside them. Period. I think we're gonna win. We're gonna come off this bye week, and we're gonna beat the Rams, and that's all I got to say. That's my week 7 pick. First of Pittsburgh versus the Rams. It's gonna be Pittsburgh. We're gonna win.
Yeah, good luck winning so far. On to weekend at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which starts a 3-game stand, by the way.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars are playing really well. They're 4-2. And Trevor Lawrence he's a leader on that offense. He's been a leader coming in from last year. The Saints, I believe, are going to be without Derek Carr, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Trevor Lawrence is also, I believe he was hurt as well. So there was 5 quarterbacks that's coming into week 7 that may be questionable and or out. That's gonna be hard. That's a hard one. Let me make sure. Let me see. Is Trevor playing? If Trevor's playing, they're gonna win. If he's not playing, they still may win though. They still may win. I'm gonna go with the Jaguars. I'm just go with the Jaguars.
Playing it safe, huh?
You know, I feel like the Saints have lost the game in the end of the game. And Jacksonville has been a little bit more consistent. It's the only reason why I'm picking them.
Okay. Week 9 against the Tennessee Titans. And it's on Thursday Night Football, by the way.
Oh, wait, it's the Titans and who?
Steelers versus Titans at home.
Steelers versus Titans at home? Oh, yeah. We unless the Titans like turn it around and Tannehill gets better and Hopkins is better and Derrick Henry is getting more rushing yards, we can beat them. Because right now, they're looking like they need a little bit more help. And I still am wondering for the Titans, like, okay, well, where did Malik Willis go? But I don't know. He should be Tannehill, I believe, is going to be hurt. I don't know if he's going to be out for that long, but
Week 10 at home against the Green Bay Packers. Jordan loves Green Bay Packers.
Okay. We're doing all Pittsburgh games. Now I'm like, what are we talking about? Okay, hold on. Let's go back. It's the fact that the Rams are, I'm going back for 1 second. The Rams have a 58.3% of beating us. That's the projection predictor, right? The matchup predictor right now. But we're gonna win. I don't care. We're gonna win. I'm gonna stick beside them. We're gonna win. Let me look at this.
Packers, November 12th.
Packers on the 12th. The Packers are not playing like the old Packers. I'm going to say we're going to win. We're going to win. And I think we can beat the Browns too. We already beat them once. We can beat them twice.
Okay, that's fair.
We might not beat the Bengals though.
Week 12 against the Bengals. You think you gonna lose Cincinnati?
I feel like
it's gonna be in Cincinnati week 12, by the way.
I know. It's kind of hard to predict these games because it's like I have to see their progression throughout the rest of the up and coming weeks. But for some reason, the Bengals, everybody in our conference, but specifically the Bengals and the Ravens, is like we'll win one game and then we'll lose the other game. So I feel like we may lose the first game and then win the second game. But the Bengals also, they've been struggling too. We've both been on the struggle bus over here. Our conference is on the struggle bus. But I'm gonna say that they may beat us on their first game, and by the end of the season, we're gonna come back and we're gonna beat them in the second game.
That's the second. You don't play them again until the 23rd. That's a week 16. So, and that's the home game. But before we get to that, week 13 at home against the Arizona Cardinals.
Statistically, we should beat them. So I'm going to say we're going to beat them.
Week 14, home against the Patriots.
We should beat them. Yeah, I'm going to say we're going to win. We're going to beat them. Because Bill Belichick, unless he creates a miracle on that team and turns his offense around and turns his defense into a superstar defense, Mac Jones is going to have some problems. He's going to have some problems over there.
Yeah, on the road against the Indianapolis Colts.
And that's one of the flux games because it can be either the 16th or the 17th of December on the road. The Colts, we are just as good as each other. I don't know if Anthony Richardson will be back by then. Statistically speaking, we should beat the Colts. Statistically speaking, we should beat the Colts.
Okay. Week 16. Week 16 at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. You said they're going to win this one.
Mm-hmm.
Week 17 on the road against Seattle Storm. Excuse me, Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, the Seahawks. We're talking about football.
Excuse me, correct.
I think that Seattle's playing pretty good right now. They're 3-2. They've gotten better. I feel like, realistically, I feel like we might lose that game. I feel like we may lose the last 2 games of the season, Seahawks and the Ravens, because again, we beat the Ravens once, and then normally we lose the second time. So I'm gonna say we definitely can beat the Seahawks, but I feel like the teams that we definitely can beat are the teams we don't be beating. We're gonna beat the Seahawks and we're gonna lose to the Ravens. And I hate to say it.
Okay. So
I gotta be realistic here though. I can't just be like, okay, well, we're gonna win all of the rest of the games, the rest of the season. Like, not the way we're playing, maybe not, but we're definitely gonna have some wins.
Yeah, that puts your prediction. They're 3-2 at the time prior to this recording, and you coming on the show, they're gonna finish about 12-4. That puts them at least in one of the same tiers as the Kansas City Chiefs. So, in the Buffalo Bills. So, you should have no problem. They should have no problem winning most of those games, since most of those teams in the rest of the schedule are not that great.
Yeah, honestly, last season I believe we finished 9-8. It'd be nice if we can finish at least having 10 wins. That'll be amazing. I really need us to get into the playoffs and win a playoff game, because it's been way too long since we won a playoff game. So hopefully we can get in there, figure it out, and at least even if we don't make it to the playoffs, we can at least still have a winning season. So that means if we need to be 9-8 or 10-7 something, I would love to be 12-4 though. I feel like that would get us back to like Steelers football, like what we're like. We get us back to winning. And we're playing some teams that we literally can beat. We can beat these teams. We've beat them before. We've seen what they have. Their defense may not be as strong as ours. So I feel like we definitely could beat them. Now, you say it was playing the 49ers, I say, okay, we might take an L. But yeah.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Passionate Steelers fan. Now, to finish up this episode, let's talk about the Miami Heat. As you witnessed last year, they became only the second seed to make it all the way to the NBA Finals, even though they did lose to the Denver Nuggets, and prior to that, they got through by New York Knicks. But that's besides the point. Do you see Miami pulling on something, getting back to the NBA Finals this year, even if they do finish higher than 8th seed?
Miami getting back to the finals. Honestly, I definitely see them getting into the playoffs. They didn't do a lot of changing on from what I'm aware of on their roster. But they definitely are gonna have a hard time getting there. The Bucks have something good going on over there with Damian Lillard and Giannis. So I don't think that they could be able to be a wild card team, barely making it into the playoffs and get to the finals again. I don't think that the Cinderella story is going to be that in depth again. Do they have the capability and possibility of getting into the finals again? Yes. But there's going to be teams. I feel like the Knicks are coming back with some fire and some heat. They're coming back with like some vengeance. They're going to want to win. The same thing with the Celtics. I feel like the Celtics kind of like beat themselves. So they have something to work on. And we don't know what's going on with the 76ers fully yet, but the 76ers did make a good run at it as well. But the 76ers are probably one of the in my opinion, one of the weaker teams right now, only because they don't have we don't really know what's going on. But it's always hard in the East. The East is always hard. So I don't know.
Yeah, the NBA was kind of unpredictable last year. As you saw some top tier teams losing the first round. Seriously. You saw LeBron James carry the Lakers to the conference finals as a playing tournament 7th seed. And of course, Miami, they got through the Milwaukee Bucks before Damian Lillard, the New York Knicks. They barely survived the Boston Celtics at the blow a 3-game lead. And of course, they went into the Denver Nuggets. But based on everything you just said, the Heat should be able to have a decent NBA season. And if you want my insights on the New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets, I got my interview with Ian Begley for NCY that I just did before I came on the show with you. So, or you came on the show with me rather. So look out for that. Let's look for that to drop.
Okay, I'll be checking it out. I'm waiting to see this. I feel like the Knicks they need a redemption season. I think they need to redeem themselves this year for sure.
It's only if Quentin Grimes and Mitch Robinson lives up to what me and Begley said on the last episode of the show. So that's that.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree.
Well, that wraps up this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Thank you for stopping by, Taz. Pretty girls love sports. Let's just say that.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to even have this opportunity. So if anybody's watching and want to figure out what I'm doing over here, you can follow me at PG Love Sports on all social media platforms.
For this, Rafik Luzon, we'll see you next time.
Bye.